Okay, so 7.3 discs around lines. So instead of, actually this is 7.3b and this is the back of the one that says day 2, right? So yesterday said discs around axes and now we're going around lines. So there's like one big difference between the two and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But basically now we're going around a y equals, which is a horizontal line, just like the x-axis is a horizontal line. So that means that you would be in terms of x, or we're going around a x equals. And x equals is a vertical line, right? On the xy axis, x equals is a vertical line, which is parallel to a y-axis, the y-axis. So if you're going around something vertical, you're going around like the y-axis and you're in terms of y, okay? Let's get started. We drew this together. I mean, the work is not a ton, but the important part is being able to draw it on your own and understand what's happening and being able to set it up, okay? So what I did first is I drew y equals 2 minus x squared. You're going to plug in some points. You're going to realize that this is a perfect parabola facing down, and then it's 2 units up, right? So 2 units up, facing down. What's a perfect parabola look like? It goes usually to the left one and up one. It goes to the right one and up one. If it's negative, it goes down one, down one. You can also plug in a 1 and a negative 1. You'll see that you get y equals 2 minus 1, which is y equals 1. So you draw your parabola, you draw your line, y equals 1. And then you're going around y equals 1. So after you draw the parabola and the line, you do the little shaded region. So I decided to use non-highlighter today, but normally I would use like a blue highlighter. And then you take that blue, and the blue is going around and around that y equals 1, that horizontal line. So if it goes around and around, this is how I draw it. So I say, okay, the top point is going to go around the front and then down and then back around again. And then this is going to do the same thing. So this is the general shape. It's not exactly a ball. It's more like a squished football, maybe. We call it a squished football. But yeah, so it looks something like that. And it's going around and around this horizontal line, okay? So then you set it up. And my setup is going to be pi quantity squared in terms of x, because we're going around a horizontal line. So it's in terms of x. And then I fill in my limits. So if I'm in terms of x, my x values, where my blue area is, starts with a negative 1 and ends with 1. So negative 1 to 1. And then I look at one radius. You can look at a lot, but if I just look at one radius that goes around and around to make those big circles and medium circles and tiny circles over here to go around and around y equals 1, then I can see that it's a vertical radius, which means it's top minus bottom. So my radius is top minus bottom. The top equation is this one, y equals 2 minus x squared, so 2 minus x squared, sorry. And then minus the bottom of the blue is y equals 1, so there's the 1. I plug it in here, done. That's all it is. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next one, and I'm going to talk it through, just in case. So you draw your line, here's your line. You draw your y equals 0, which is the x-axis. You draw your x equals 2, which is right here. And then I shade in my blue area, so my blue original area. And I'm going around x equals 2. So I didn't draw it in here, but I'm going around and around this way. So around and around that way. And so the blue goes forward to the right, back, forward to the right, back, and then it swivels this way. This looks like some sort of cone, right? So like a traffic cone or something. Okay, so if I were to start writing this out, I have pi quantity squared in terms of y, because I'm going around a vertical axis, okay, actually a vertical line, sorry. So in terms of y, and then my y values for my blue go from 0 all the way to 4, so 0 all the way to 4. If I draw one radius that gets revolved around to make these circles, big circle on the bottom, medium circles, little tiny circles on the top. If I draw one radius on my blue section, then I can see it's left and right. So it is horizontal, which is left and right. I'm going to do right minus left. The right is this line, x equals 2, so there's my 2. The left is this line, y equals 2x, but I can't put a 2x in here. I'm in terms of y. So I solve for x, and then I get 1/2 y, or you can say y over 2. So 2 minus y over 2. There you go. Done. What if these two were switched? I'll ask again. What if these two, what if my right and left were switched? What would happen to the final answer? Nothing. Nothing happens to the final answer, because when you switch these two values, what's the only difference? If you do 2 minus 7 and 7 minus 2, it's the same number, but a negative in front versus a positive in front. So if it's the same number and you square it, the answer is going to be the same. So if you're finding area, yes, the order matters, otherwise you're going to get a negative. But if you're finding volume, technically, even if you switch those, it's fine. The answer is right. Even your setup is fine, okay? Because it's going to get squared anyway. All right. For the third one, it looks almost exactly the same. So you have your y equals 0, you have your x equals 2, you draw your parabola using maybe plugging in points. So plug in a 0, you get 0. Plug in a 1, you get 2. Plug in a 2, you get 8, right? So just plug it in. And then you draw your parabola. It's kind of a skinny parabola. And then you shade in your area between all these three curves. So you shade in the blue. And again, you're going around x equals 2. So you're going around and around this way. So this point goes all the way around. Okay, so it looks really similar to this. What is the difference? Let's see. Now it is, well, it's, you know, in terms of y, because it's a vertical line. And then it's from 0 to 8 instead, because that's our y values, from 0 to 8. And then your right, for the blue, what's touching the right is 2. Your left is the parabola, but you can't write 2x squared. So then you solve for x, and you get plus or minus root y over 2. So make sure that the whole thing is under the root. So this side of the parabola, the right side of the parabola, is actually positive root y over 2. The left side of the parabola, where I only drew a little bit, but if I kept drawing it up, the left side of the parabola would be technically negative root y over 2. So that's why it's positive and negative root y. So in terms of x's, this would be the positive root, this would be the negative root. And we want the positive root because, you know, that's the positive side of the x values. So we want the positive root. So 2 minus the root, plug it in, done. You can do it. The big difference between this and what we did where it says axes is yesterday, the bottom was 0. So we're minusing 0. Yesterday, we're always minusing 0. We would minus 0. But now we have this vertical line that's one of our either left or right. We have this horizontal line that's either on the top or the bottom. So that's the difference. It's not a 0 anymore. Okay? You can do it. Okay, bye.